You know how we usually begin our conversation before we get into the conversation about, the politics and whether all Kalou is a litmus test or not, and so on and so forth. Felaris is going to give you the day's quotes.
Karibu sana. Today's quote is courtesy of a lady that was a South African novelist, and the quote reads, her name is Bessie Head, and the quote reads, when you stand still, you're still moving, you're moving backward. When you stand still, you're still moving, you're moving backwards. How does that speak to you?
Let me contextualize in relation to what is happening generally in Kenya, specifically what has happened in Kalou, taking into account the dynamic nature of politics. Considering the history of this country as a collection of tribes, regions put together with a very rich history, either from our own traditional past. There's nothing wrong and taking a pause, reflecting on the past, and using the same now to project the future. So all is not lost with the recent by-election in Kalou for all groups. So, and I will say 13 months is such a long time in politics.
So standing still is not always bad, as long as you're standing still for the purpose, with a reason.
Yes,
right?
to reflect.
To reflect,
yes.
So that you move forward.
Yes.
I guess that's still moving, right?
That's still moving.
It's the standing still, those ones of what you relax, you're just sitting there in your comfort zone, you develop a comfort zone. That's where the problem would be. Adan, do you actually honestly believe that all Kalou means nothing to the bigger picture?
No, all Kalou means something. All Kalou means something for different groups. Let me start with, first of all, let me take this opportunity to once again congratulate the winners and the people of Kalou for the peaceful manner in which finally the elections were conducted. Because there are a lot of hula blues, there are a lot of noise, there are a lot of things that will be chaos. Finally, common sense prevailed. The people had to exercise their constitutional right. They voted for the person they wanted. The result has been accepted, and there's a winner. Having said that, to all Kalou, let me start with the non. The non was a Jubilee seat. Jubilee has been vanquished. That's my party. I wouldn't want at this stage, because of technical, legal hitch, to call it my former party.
It is your party.
It's my party. But Jubilee, my good friend, the late engineer Kalou, was among the few who survived the UDA wave in 2022. So technically speaking, that was our Jubilee seat. And you remember, I was among the first people immediately after we lost the election to say, look, we need to go back to the drawing board and come up with a mechanism to reinvigorate and bring back Jubilee to its original purpose. We were declared a rebel by Keynan and cohorts. We left.
When was this?
That was late 2022 and early 2023. We were called all sorts of names, and we said, no, we are not going to believe in the usual business of the very guys who did everything that they did. So we left. Actually, out of 34 members of parliament, actually 32 of us left, and with many other groups. So exactly what we are telling them is what the people of Kalou have confirmed, because it was very easy for Jubilee to claim and say that was our seat. So the first lesson, Jubilee vanquished. That's why you have not seen my good friend Keynan and cohorts anywhere. And that's why even you have seen some of their usual bloggers now identifying with either Linda Mwananchi or with Kenya Kwanza or the broad-based. It's like they have dispersed. So that's the first group. The second group is, there's a new general. There's a new general, and this must be said. Rigji is now the battle general for the Mount Kenya. That's a fact. You must accept it. Because before then, we're dealing with theories. I think he has made a number of arguments, and therefore this has demonstrated that at least the people of Kalou have listened to his whims. I don't agree with his whims. I don't agree with his rhetorics, but he has demonstrated. Three, more fundamentally, the people of Kalou are known for being anti-establishment. You know what they did with Moi in 1990, I think it was 95 or 96?
95.
95. 95. true to their history, the same thing happened. And therefore, those are now the all Kalou people. And I think I do not want to delve now into the other bits. Equally also, there has been a lot of bashing, there's a lot of criticism of IEBC. In my opinion, they have done their best to discharge their mandate under very difficult circumstances. Because to be a neutral arbiter to such harsh, hostile, ever-evolving political environment actually is a very difficult thing. And the slightest thing that comes out from your mouth is given different interpretation. So to the chairman IEBC and the entire commissioners, I want to say kudos. Don't be scared. Don't be intimidated. Continue to discharge your constitutional mandate as required by the Constitution and as expected by the people of Kenya, in line with our constitutional expectations, in line with the wishes of the people of Kenya, in line with the internationally accepted democratic norms. Those are the things that we expect. To the security agencies, they also criticized. I can imagine we have our good sons and daughters who are serving in the security agencies. I can also imagine the kind of environment. They have been criticized, they have been called all sorts of names. I think under, again, very difficult circumstances. They did a commendable job in maintaining law and order, and therefore, to the rank and file in our security agencies, I want to tell you, you have done a good job. We are very proud of you. Continue discharging your functions in line with the expectations of the people of Kenya. And remember, Kenya is always a democracy. Leaders come and go. But institutions like police service and many other key institutions will continue to remain and be part of the constitutional architecture of the people of Kenya. But I want to warn this. The IGN team root out the criminal elements perceived to be either associates or part of the police officers. They identify our image, deal with them, subject them to the rule of law, take them through the due process. We did not want just few rotten individuals to spoil the names, the good names of our security officers. To the politicians, Kenya is a democracy. Goonism has no place in a democratic Kenya. And therefore, we must strive at all costs to fight Goonism. And I'm aware that there's a lot of unemployment, there's a lot of underemployment. There are many youths who are struggling to make a living out of, whichever form that they feel. Let's not allow our country, to be blunt, into unnecessary, civil war. Because remember, look at the history. Look at our neighbors. Look at the history of East Africa. Look at the history of Horn of Africa. Look at the history of the South of Africa, south of Sahara. And look at the history of the world. We are lucky. We have survived. We have never had this. But we are not different. We are not angels. So let's make sure that goons remain in their rightful place, and that is in prison or in police. Let's discharge our political activities in a manner consistent, first, with our democratic norms, in a manner consistent with, a civilized society, in a manner accepted by the UN norms. Because Kenya is not an ordinary country in this part of the world. Remember the other day, we were admitted as an associate of NATO. NATO is not a mean achievement. Just recently, our president was honored to be as G7, the only actually from Africa. It's not a mean achievement, but he's not doing it. He's doing it as the CEO, as the president and the commander-in-chief of the Republic of Kenya. Those are not mean achievements. There are many countries who have enjoyed those status in the past, but they have lost it simply because of political mismanagement and other uncalled for political activities. So I am here as a proud Kenyan, as a patriotic Kenyan, to urge all politicians and Kenyans to accept our democratic norms and believe in the rule of law.
I'll come back to the goons being where they should be, where they belong, which is in prison. And I'll come back to what happens when the chief goons are in the political class. But just before that, I want to go into Jubilee a little bit. What's the difference between the Jubilee of 2022 and the Jubilee of 2026?
Well, the Jubilee of 2022 was the ruling party with immense, institutional financial, public support. Really, it was the ruling party. Let me say this. But you see, a party is a reflection of both the leadership and the membership. In my opinion, the opportunities were lost. The party was reduced to, a mechanism just for few individuals to make their ends meet. They didn't have an ideology. They didn't have a platform. They did not think out of the box on what contributed to our loss in 2022. And therefore they decided to close themselves in a political cage and say, look, here we are the owners of the party. A party is a party because of the membership, because of the public trust. So the public trust has been lost. The membership have dispersed. The leadership has been vanquished. And it's a shell. So that shell, I don't know where Kioni and cohort will take it to.
So also what happened around that time is that part of the leadership of Jubilee, instead of saying, let's retrospect, let's introspect and look at what is happening, crossed over to the other side.
No, I'll tell you this.
You and others
Yes.
went to UDA and Kenya Kwanza.
Let me tell you this. As a person who has been around for quite some time, I understand, I wouldn't brag, but at least I have a little understanding of politics. And I've gone to school. When I see somebody outrightly blinding himself to the realities and doesn't want to listen, you have closed all your senses. You don't want to hear, you don't want to see, you don't want to sense, you don't want even to reflect on the other imagined senses. You are closed yourself in a dark room. We just say, no, can we reflect on what has made us lose? They refused. We said, can we discuss the future? They refused. Can we do a radical section on our party? They refused. So we had no choice. And the individuals who are wielding power, one or two, the original owners in court were not willing to come out of also their loss, that surprise. So what do you have to do? We had to say, we must function now as members of parliament. That is why we decided to part and chart our own independent path in line with our mandate as a representative of the people of Kenya, pursuant to Article 1 of the Constitution, and say, look, what is good for our electorate? What is good for Kenya? Because the party leadership has refused to listen to us. And that's why we say, no, it's not supported. We supported the national good. At that particular time in 2022, there was this uproar. Some people were saying they do not want to recognize the president. Some people were saying, no. We just came out and said, look, we as Jubilee, we have been defeated. We have been defeated. Azimio has been defeated. We must accept the will of the people. That didn't mean we joined
Kenya
Kwanza. But later on, because of what happened, we joined the broad-based government. And at this juncture, let me appeal to the president and ask him this. He invested in the original owners of Jubilee and gave them a number of slots. They have failed to deliver. I want to urge the president, can you sack all of them and bring back those positions to the Jubilee function that supported you, that continues to support you even within the broad-based? Because those are the legitimate, to be fair, those are the legitimate people who have supported the president. The other group that he rewarded have not delivered anything. I'm told some of them in very senior positions, when they go back to their villages, they hide their flag, they hide their government support system, appoint people from that particular region who will identify openly with the broad-based ideas, with the president, with his party, with his vision for 2027, with his re-election mechanism. Because, you see, some of the positions is an investment. Politics, it's an investment. That investment must be seen. So, now that you have asked me this question for the second time, please, Mr. President, reward those who supported you, the Jubilee function who supported you from 2022 who are part and parcel of the broad-based government, to the others because of historical issues that you have rewarded. They have failed you miserably, and they are not going to add even an iota of benefit to you right now and even 2027, and even to their respective communities.
Not now, not in the future.
What
I'm also hearing here is Adan saying, we got the short end of the stick. We supported Ruto. he didn't invest in us.
Rewarded.
He invested in other people. And yet we are the ones
I mean, it's
who
the
openly
political.
defied even our own political party. We went through this whole, public crucifixion by our party. And then those guys got the seats.
It's the political game of chess. It's where it is. I mean, it's and if we're to dissect it, it's are we trying to win over the mountain by bringing in respectful members into the fold? Where do they affiliate? And you raise a very important point, which is when they go back home, who are they talking about? We'll be right back because given that
actually just there, we will want to see more of Rukus. More of Rukus. Let me say this. More of Rukus.
Rukus stands out.
Rukus stands out. You see, in politics, I am here as an elder. I am here as a representative. I am openly a supporter of the Tutam movement. I cannot hide it. I say the same thing in my village. I say the same thing in Wajir County. I say the same thing in the media here. So there can be no two Adan Keynans. Adan Keynan has to be one. You must see consistency, predictability in me. So those individuals, not that we have anything. There are many other qualified associates of Jubilee from that particular region. So my appeal to His Excellency the President, I know he's a very wise man. Those ones that you thought had a very good tag have failed you miserably, have failed their regions, have failed everybody. Bring more of Rukus from that particular region who identify with the original Jubilee group who supported you at a time when things were very difficult. That's my message to the President.
Let's take a short break, but when we come back, I'll ask from the President's perspective, what is his incentive to sort of reward you when you're already in the fold, you're already part and parcel of his support system. He's courting the others who are outside. So what's his incentive to now come and reward you when he's looking to garner support? You're already quote unquote in the fold. But let's talk about that in just a minute. Hashtag is Fixing the Nation and TV. We'll be right back after this.
Good morning, what's up, nation? My name is Job. Today I am fixing the nation by being thankful to God because He has finally heard our outcry. And I'm clairvoyant that He's about to do a new thing. And one of the new things that I'm looking into is us having a debt-free country. Can you imagine if Kenya was debt-free? The Kenyan shilling would appreciate against other currencies and become stronger. And one of the things that would have is improved investors' confidence in this country.
Thank you so much, John, for that wonderful What's Up Nation video. We love to see and hear from fixers Kama Wewe, just giving us a little message, reminding us of the things we need to keep our eye on, like our debt situation. Thank you for that reminder. Our number is 0769590762. Please send us your What's Up Nation video. Siongea na John sasa naongea na wewe. Send us your What's Up Nation video. Tell us who you are, where you are, and how you're fixing the nation. Tuonyeshe kwako kuna kaaje, kama kuna kuku unazifuga ama mbuzi. Just give us a little insight into your day-to-day hustle, your life as you go to school, to work, as you go to the church, to mosque, whatever it is that you're doing today. 0769590762. Easy as that.
Seen many fixers who are online, and we'll be getting to the feedback that's coming back. But let's get back in conversation with Adan Keynan, who's the MP of Elders, as we do this postmortem from the lessons we're picking up from Kalou, and also just the party that you elected under, which is Jubilee. And before the break, we're just you had a very clear message to the president, which is the people that deserve to receive those political appointee positions and the message that they speak. Geoffrey Ruku being the CS that stands out in terms of, preaching the gospel of KK. But before we resume that conversation, since we were doing a post-mortem, what I wanted to hear from you was, where do you think UDA went wrong in Kalou? They had everything set out. The development agenda, the goodies, the money, everything was poured out. What did they get wrong?
That's a good question. I think let me help you understand, maybe, and I'm sure you also understand the history of this country. Basically, Kenya is a tribal nation. And that's why even the British, one of the things that the British perfected in Kenya was the art of divide and rule, and something they were calling indirect administration. That's why chiefs and colonial apologists and collaborators played a very important role in the administrative structure of the colonial Kenya. And that's why today, we're among the richest people. The the sons and daughters of colonial chiefs.
Yeah.
Who owns land in this country? Some of the prime land, the sons and daughters of colonial chiefs.
Yeah.
If you look at again the history of the middle class in Kenya, again you will find that most products are sons and daughters because they are privileged.
Yeah.
Unlike the French, who perpetuated something out of the petty bourgeoisism, create a class of their own, help them feel and identify like French, behave, project. So that's why these two. That's why the one of French is slowly getting, rooted out. But the one of the British is getting deeply rooted because it's part and parcel of our structures, our education, literally.
Yeah.
So I think there's been a lot of propaganda, based on hate campaigns. Notwithstanding the history of the people of Kalou and Kibibiri, I'm told that was part of without prejudice. There are many people actually who come from different parts of the mount actually who settle in that particular part. So it's not like a consensus that you can easily say are inhabited by people from this particular county or this particular region. So the propaganda. The hate campaigns against the president, against the ruling party, against the other communities, I think is what has poisoned the people. But maybe the party, the Kenya Kwanza team or the broad-based might have also missed certain steps. There are communities who don't like to see a lot of, push. A lot of arrogancy, a lot of show of might. Maybe if we will have taken a different approach and used the locals in a very slow, village-based, individualized approach, maybe the result will have been different. But Kenya being what it is, what we have seen is consistent with our ethnic-based politics, and I'm not surprised. So General Rigji and team have something for now to slightly celebrate. But in my opinion, 13 months is such a long time. It happened in 1995. Moi still won the 1997 general election. And the only thing I will not agree with anybody is to use this as a basis now to bash the people of Mount Kenya. The people of Mount Kenya are critical component of the Republic of Kenya. Yeah. In business, in politics, in numbers, in everything. And I wouldn't want anybody, whoever does that will be a very foolish politician. But we should also use this to go back to the drawing board and analyze the missteps, what me and many others who are in the broad-based government, what we may have missed, and use the same now to project and use it now on how we can deal with other parts of the country. So it's a learning lesson. So for me, it is good. It's like is a warning. And I hope the really owners of power in Kenya will use this, dissect it professionally, efficiently, without any ethnic bias, and use it now as a basis to deal with the politics between now and 2027.
Let me speak to the voter bribery and violence that was seen in Kalou as well. And Kalou saw over the week actually preceding the election, there was a lot of sightings of either people who are masked, walking around in big vehicles, sometimes number plates, other times no number plates. Yesterday, our reporter Ibrahim Karanja aired a mini documentary on what happened in Kalou, and you can see several people he identified over the week being seen bribing voters blatantly. Other times they're seen in these vehicles that, were just terrorizing residents, tear gassing people, and they're civilians, or at least in civilian clothing. So that's the best that we know about them. Then one of them was also spotted, walking next to a UDA member, but you cannot say that causation and, however, the optics certainly are not good. What is your take on the Goonification of our politics, one, and specifically the accusations that from DCP that UDA is the one sponsoring goons in all, not just in Kalou, but countrywide.
There is a statement, it's something that I watched on TV, which was attributed to the CS Interior. You see, criminal responsibility is individual. And we have a number of legislations, laws that deal with elections and election-related offenses. Just for information, we have the Constitution, which outrightly provides a mechanism. We also have the Election Act of 2011. We have the Election Offence Act of 2016. We have the Political Parties Act. We have the Leadership Integrity Act. We have the Penal Code. We have the Public Order Act. We have the National Cohesion and Integration Act. We have the Election General Regulations. We have the IBC Code of Conduct. And then we have the Kenya's the international platform. All these have at least some bearing on how to deal with elections and election-related activities. Let me pick from what the Honorable C.S. Murkomen said, and I entirely agree with him. If, as a good citizen, as a law-abiding citizen, you have seen a person committing a crime, your first responsibility to yourself, to the Kenyan public, to the rule of law, is to report. And I'll say this, Kenya is not a banana republic. We have a mechanism of dealing with every issue. What is your responsibility? And even including the person who purportedly aired that particular news item, report to the relevant agencies. If they don't act, you have every reason to complain. Go to the nearest police station. Go to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption. Go to any other security agency, the CID. Report, document, and then demand for the arrest and arraignment in court. But just mention it, because you cannot just convict somebody. You cannot just push somebody to police or do public lynching and say, because you are perceived to have done this. No, that doesn't work. So I entirely agree with what C.S. Murkomen has said. Let anybody with information report to the nearest security agency and document. If the government doesn't act, we'll have something to say. For now, in this era of AI, you can just literally do anything. You can just image anything. So I'll urge my good friend, you're a good friend, I'm also his uncle, my good friend and his associate, to please piece that information together and share with the relevant government security agencies. That is what will inform a good citizen, a good law-abiding citizen. But Goonism in the modern day Kenya, I think this is something that any rightful thinking person must say no to it, because it will boomerang. True. You actually will be the first casualty. I'll tell you this. And you will be in that perpetual blackmail. Because, they are not driven by ethics. They are not driven by anything else. They are driven by survival. Survival means, give me, I do this for you. You don't give me, you are the first victim. True. So can we say, as a country, that there's no room for Goonism in whichever form? And I urge the IG and team to deal with goons in
the right way.
In the right way, as far as the law allows.
I want to ask you a question as a lawmaker whose primary role is oversight as well. And in which committee are you now?
I am in the House Business. Yes, I'm in the House Business and a number of other committees.
You've sat in several other committees, including Defense and Foreign Relations.
I chaired, yes,
right?
yes.
You chaired that. So at some point, matters of internal security are critical and how things progress. Are you happy with the way the National Police Service has so far handled this issue of Goonism?
That's why I'm saying this. You see, the National Police Service is an entity comprising of thousands of men, diligent, law-abiding, patriotic Kenyans. Thousands and thousands. Just like the nation media here. I'm sure you have even correspondents in every part of Kenya. So I am very proud of the work of the rank and file of the police men and women.
Do you think?
However, let me say this. However, they should be more proactive and firm and deal with criminal elements in a manner prescribed by our laws.
Mariam, please pass him the Nation newspaper. Look at just a brief chronology on the front page of events that have happened. Okay? And we have had various cases from December last year to this weekend of goons and people being attacked, whether they're being attacked in church, at a rally, and so on and so forth. And in all this, there's talk of the IG or the CS or the DCI boss speaking and saying these matters are under investigation. So Adan Keynan, as a representative of the people and one who oversees the executive, are you happy with the way in which the National Police Service has handled Goonism in the country so far?
I think that's a good question. And you know, sometimes I ask myself, because of access to information, because of AI, because of our democracy, even the slide, if you cough in your bedroom these days, it's very easy. You might find it in the newspaper. But I do not have the details of each of these events, and I must admit that I may be disadvantaged. But the police, the CS in charge of policy, the police led by the IG are in charge of the day-to-day security apparatus. And that's what I'm saying. I am not familiar, I may not know the details of those who have been arrested. But because of the optics, I want to urge the IG to move swiftly and deal with goons the way the Honorable, the late Michuki did. Without fear, without favor, without any political bias, without any other consideration, move with the speed and deal with goons. That's what we expect as a country. And that is our demand.
Okay, it brings me back to what I wanted to ask earlier, which is what happens when the chief goons are politicians? Because you've referenced what happened around, the time of John Michuki as interior minister, and what happened at the time was a crackdown. I use that word in quotes, crackdown on Mungiki, that left a lot of young men dead, one. Many others profiled simply for either being from the wrong community, for having dreadlocks, for this and that. And while there were criminal elements, and Mungiki was a problem, and we can even see resurgences of similar things, essentially the people who paid for it, a lot of the times are people in informal settlements, people who are from lower income communities, and they may not have anything to do with whatever the issue is. These goons and the same ones that are being used by politicians will be the same ones cracked down upon should the interior CS decide to go that way, or the IG. And it will, of course, inadvertently affect people from low-income areas way more than any other communities. And then it'll be an issue of a lot of killings, arrests, and this and that. But the people who are funding them, the people who are enabling them to come out and do what they are doing, the politicians behind them, will continue to go scot-free. And when they need another mini militia, they will do the same thing and will end up in the same exact place. So, again, to Eric's question, the CS of Interior, and the pictures are right there because they are the three biggest duty bearers and then the president, as well as IG Kanja and DCI boss Mohammed Amin, are not doing their work as far as dealing with goons, because the politicians who fund them walk free. Even when you arrest 5, 8, I think last week it was 7 were arrested. If you don't get to the money and to the people pulling the strings, you essentially allow them to continue doing what it is they've been doing.
Sometimes it's very easy. In law, all of us are equal before the law. Every citizen, we are all equal before the law. And sometimes we say the law is an us. So a goon is a goon, regardless of who is sponsoring. If it's a politician, let the politician be dealt with in accordance with the law. If the goon is driven by other considerations, let the goon be dealt with in accordance with the law. But the assumption is, because we live in a very civilized, very democratic society, this must be preceded by investigations. investigations, because you don't just rush somebody to court. That's why the CS was appealing to the people, anybody with information, please go and report. The reporting now will provide the grounds for piecing together critical information that will lead to the arraignment of that particular suspect in court. So first thing first, investigation, piecing the information together, arraigning them in court, prosecuting, and of course, sentencing. So these other bits that the CS must do. You see, we passed a very generous, a very pragmatic and reformist constitution that ties, and everybody must submit. You know it. From the opening chapter to the last chapter, they adherence to the due process of law.
True.
So it's not like the old days. If it was the old days, CS Murkomen will say, go arrest so and so, and the arrest will be done. He can't say it right now. He can only say, investigate, report, investigate, and subject them to a due process. And that was the wish of the people of Kenya, to have such a reformist constitution. So many people, by the way, even the IG, we have the police oversight authority. So even what the slightest thing that they do must also meet the norms, must also meet the expectation of a modern, democratic police service. Where do they exist? In a modern world where the living standards, where the per capita income, and you know it, is not even comparable to Kenya. So it's like we have a very, very good constitution. And if you look at the application of the same constitution, might not resonate very well with what we expect. I'm not in any way, because I participated and I voted for the current constitution. But I think these are realities. So anybody expecting the IG will just arrest and push people, no, the IG must do investigation. The IG must pass the file to the Director of Public Prosecution. The Director of Public Prosecution must weigh and put on the evidential value of strength, call it, of the information, and agree if there is an iota of proof that this person is culpable, forward it to be prosecuted, isn't it? So there's a tire.
Wait. What you're saying is okay, but it's a lot of English, which is true. You know, you're saying what should be done. It has not been done.
You do not know, because you are not a police officer. We
just add something?
Eric, you don't know, because the police, these things are done in a very confidential manner.
Nobody, no funder of goons has been taken to court. The cabinet secretary, the president has said goons are politically funded. The cabinet secretary has said goons are politically funded. AIG, April 17th, the alarming surge in political violence and thuggery instigated by leaders across the political divide through use of goons and criminal gangs constitutes a direct threat to national security. IG Kanja says goons are politically instigated. 3 people who sit in the National Security Council have said goons and politicians are one and the same. Has any politician been taken to court? No. None. Has the Director of Public Prosecutions written a statement to say, I have received a file which mentions politicians so and so, and I'm taking them to court? None. So, good English, good law, no action.
And just to layer it in, that the unfortunate thing is, even as we're waiting for the law to take its course, given that the law has to follow due process, there's something Rigathi Gachagua said on Friday that is dangerous, given that the situation on the goons is not being addressed. In his own words, we are going to mobilize our young people to protect the community from goons and police, to protect our churches, our leaders, our businesses, and our meetings. Goonism will not be allowed again in the mountain. What the lack of dealing with this situation then brings in this kind of rhetoric, where it's almost like, the way I'm reading it is the setup of parallel militia to deal with the issue of goons, where the law has refused to deal with them. So even as we dilly-dally, and as the oversight house that you sit in, the lawmakers who are actually supposed to be pushing for for these authorities to expedite the prosecution of these goons, we end up having things like this, which are very, very dangerous. And given that we're about to get again into a very volatile political period, how are we going to deal with this? Because now you have the people who have to come and find a way of protecting themselves.
And by the way, yesterday he said something even more dangerous, that will destroy the economy of the very people that he proposed to support. Yeah, that's where it's not to come. If you ask yourself, who owns most of the hotels, most of the big facilities. To be honest, isn't it the very people he purposed to support? So technically, he's destroying the economy of the very community he purposed to support. And you know, it's a fallacy. Two, I think that statement is totally unacceptable. It's irresponsible. It is uncalled for. It's un-Kenyan. And therefore, the law must take its course. Nobody is above the law.
The law is not taking its course.
Nobody. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying here. You know, for you and me, we are asking the CS internal security, the entire security sector, to deal with such uncalled for statements from politicians, including the person who has issued that edit, which is totally uncalled for. So there should be no fear. The law must apply because we need this country. What puts us together? What gives us an image? And you know, look at this. We are very proud. Look at where we are sitting here. Look at the regions. This is why I'm saying this. And how do those countries end up there? Sometimes when I see certain things in Sudan, is actually Khartoum was my second home. The Khartoum that I see in the media and the Khartoum that I used to live in is completely different. How did it happen? Just because of the inactions or actions of one or two people. We do not want our country to take that route. Please, for God's sake, CS Murkamen, the entire security sector, move with speed, regardless of their political position, regardless of their ethnic position, and deal with those who are inciting Kenyans against each other, so that they also feel the law in its totality.
What do we do if they don't act?
I think that will be totally chaos. It will be chaos. It will be irresponsible.
So
they must act.
So what do we do to forestall chaos, but also those people in the office are not acting?
They must act.
IG Kanja has not acted so far. Amin Mohammed, the DCI, has not acted so far. Their deputies have not acted so far. The National Police Service has not cracked down on the political sponsors of goons in this country. They have not, Adan, and you know it.
If anything,
What do we do if they continue not acting?
if anything, you will see those same hooded men tear gassing civilians with a police officer right
Standing
next to them.
Yeah.
So then, what do we do?
You know, Eric, security is complex. Let me tell you this. That is just a small aspect of the kind of security that they deal with. This era of terrorism, this era of many other challenges. So I think we must commend. I will tell you this. Security is so complex. These guys are very busy in this era of terrorism, in this era of Goonism, and
So
this
this is
era.
among the smallest things that
Actually,
they're dealing with.
this is, I'm sure every day when we're in the comfort of our beds, these guys are busy protecting us. So I think in totality, the police have done a commendable job. These other small things, these other things that are happening right now, I imagine issues of Goonism is what we are saying, deal with them. But you can see our country has been protected, passed, and because of the good security sector that we have, and we should be very proud.
The question, Adan.
So I will refuse. I will
If
refuse.
they don't act on these small things,
I will refuse.
How do we trust that they're actually going to act on the bigger things?
Eric, I will refuse.
That they have not lost their way.
Eric, I will refuse to take two things from you.
One.
Number one, Goonism is not synonymous with politicians. Goonism is a phenomenon, is a criminal, regardless of, because not all politicians subscribe to Goonism.
True.
So we cannot, it is wrong to say that politicians are goons or sponsors of goons. Maybe one or two or whatever. So to that extent, that definition, I will refuse to accept.
The one,
it's not true.
The one or two
Yeah.
are part
Wait,
of the
you know, you have said politicians. You needed to say certain politicians or whatever, because that's why I'll keep on saying criminal responsibility is individual. Secondly, I will also refuse to accept that our security sector is not working. They have done a commendable job. I've been the chairman of the National Defense and Intelligence Committee. I have sat literally in all those committees, and I've visited many other jurisdictions in the whole world, including being an observer in certain very difficult scenarios like Colombia. They have done a good job. But the society is evolving. crime is evolving. We are seeing different facets. Some driven by poverty, some driven by unemployment, some driven by because of ethnic picotery, some driven because of other considerations. These emerging issues, some driven by AI. I'm sure you need right now. People can even piece together certain things. So all these combined, meaning we must fund the police. We must give them modern, technologically driven tools to nap. You can say anything, character assassinate and go away with it. And there are certain limitations within the constitution. I'm sure you understand. Somebody can just come, create your image as a good girl and say, look, this is the way this girl is. There's nothing you can do. You must only go to court.
I will go to court, yeah.
That court process might take you 10 years and 15 years and 20 years. That's what is called due process. So at this juncture, I'm in agreement with one thing. Regardless of whether they are politicians, regardless of whether it's poverty-driven, regardless of whether it's ethnic-driven, Goonism, criminal elements, inciters must be dealt with in accordance with the law. Serious Murkamen, it is not time to talk. Act. Protect Kenyans. Protect the image of the government. Protect, because I'm sure as a lawyer, as a seasoned also politician, he understands, he's an all-round person. So what we are saying is, we will not just believe statements. Go on and act and bring these criminals to court so that we see them, we feel them, and so that we are happy that they have been subjected to the due process of law.
All right. Let's end it there. I think because we have to take a break, but we'll continue. We'll have you back and talk a little bit more about what's happening as far as our politics changing, especially with regards to Northeastern as a whole, to Ajir and Elders constituency. But for now, let's hold the conversation there. Thank you so much. That's Adan Keynan, MP Elders, and we'll be taking a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing green energy, how it's being used to push manufacturing in the country. We'll have with us engineer Ronok Kibet of Kengen back. He was here just the other day. And we'll also have Jack Westerveld from Maxim Agri Limited. We'll be right back after this.